We all really need to be conscious of our own waste and the things that we're using, and mostly the single-use plastic stuff that is everywhere. It's like the second you start to think about it, you really do realize, why is our culture set up like this, you know? We're so reliant on it, and I just think we've created such a disposable convenience culture, and that goes pretty deep into a lot of issues.
I recently heard about the fact that we're eating about a credit card size worth of plastic a week, which I
Oh
thought
my
was
gosh.
terrifying. And it's in our brain, so it's able to
Mhm.
cross over the blood-brain barrier. It's in placenta. It's in all
Yeah.
of our, reproductive organs. It's even in our arteries and causing people to have high blood pressure. I mean, it's pretty overwhelming to think about and also to try to eliminate plastic. Welcome to the Green Living Now podcast, where we uncover the toxins in our food, homes, and lifestyles and show you how to live cleaner, greener, and more empowered every day without the overwhelm. I'm your host, Amy Tedisco Hartshorn. Today's guest is Jamie McKenzie of Rise Up Refill, a local store in the next town over from me. And if you've ever tried to ditch plastic but felt overwhelmed, this conversation will help you change everything about how you see your shampoo bottle to your backyard garden. So let's get started. Jamie McKenzie from Rise Up Refill. Welcome to the Green Living
Yeah.
Now podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm really interested in what you're doing. And I love the fact that you're in the next town over in Vermont, in Waterbury. And I actually learned about you because one of our customers to our farm stand told me about you. I had no idea that there was this cool lady doing all this great stuff that I am absolutely aligned with. So I'd love to
Cool.
hear a little bit about your story, how you came to start the store. And yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my family and I have two young girls and a much older stepson, and my husband. We all live in Waterbury. We've been here, we just hit 10 years this past March. And I've done a lot of different, career avenues over the years, mostly massage therapy, which I love. But once the pandemic hit, I was like, okay, I'm just ready for a big change. And, back in 2018, when my oldest daughter was just itty bitty 1 year old, I heard about the waste crisis that, was kind of coming to light. I feel like, at least for me, I wasn't totally aware of what was happening. But yeah, China had stopped accepting our recycling because, first off, there was just way too much of it. We were just sending cargo ships of our recycling over, and they were like, we don't even have the capacity to take all of this. And then the second problem was that most of it was of such poor quality and was, contaminated, soiled, so not even able to be used. And the overarching message of this segment was just that we all really need to be conscious of our own waste and the things that we're using, and mostly the single-use plastic stuff that is everywhere. It's like the second you start to think about it, you really do realize, why is our culture set up like this, you know? We're so reliant on it, and I just think we've created such a disposable convenience culture, and that goes pretty deep into a lot of issues.
I recently heard about the fact that we're eating about a credit card size worth of plastic a week, which I
Oh
thought
my
was
gosh.
terrifying. And it's in our brain, so it's being able to
Mhm.
cross over the blood-brain barrier. It's in placenta. It's in all
Yeah.
of our, reproductive organs. It's even in our arteries and causing people to have high blood pressure. I mean, it's pretty overwhelming to think about and also to try to eliminate plastic. Now, I think I read from your description that you sent me that you try to go plastic free when you first started to get into this? How did you address the concern, I guess, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So I definitely went headfirst into it. I was very excited about making this change. And I had some close mom friends of mine. We were all at this point not working, focused, stay at home, focused on the babies. We were getting together like at least once a week for play dates and emotional support time. What was very helpful at that point was coming together and sort of brainstorming okay, well, we go through a lot of these baby food pouches, which is so
Oh,
single
yes.
use. You know what I mean? So like, how can we
Right.
prevent or change that? So it's kind of like doing an audit of your trash or your daily
Mm.
life, being like, oh, wow, we go through so many, tortilla packages. Maybe I can think about making my tortillas from scratch.
Mm.
I will say a big learning lesson, though, for me and what I would recommend for other people is to just try to tackle it one thing at a time
Yeah.
and build because
Yeah.
we, went head on and, burnout exists and it happens.
Oh,
So build
absolutely. I
one
mean,
small scale.
I think especially where there's not a ton of alternatives yet. I mean, I'm hoping that especially where, we're no longer sending our trash to China because they can't do anything with all the stuff that we produce. My hope is that
Mhm.
that starts to signal to, corporations to reduce, ideally eliminate plastic, but it's tricky. Like when in our organic farm stand, in order to keep the produce fresh in the displays, because we don't have the refrigerators that, supermarkets have. We have coolers to keep things
Yeah,
cool, but for the display, it's just basically open air, right? And I don't know what
right,
to do except for put stuff into plastic bags because, the cellulose alternatives are pretty expensive. And so I'm
right.
hoping that we'll have more options because I think that's part of it. It's one thing to be committed to being plastic free as much as you can. I like what you said as far as not trying to tackle everything at once because that can be incredibly overwhelming. So, thinking about that, what would you say is the first thing that you recommend people address?
I would definitely look towards your home. I think the kitchen is a really great place to look.
Yeah.
It's also a huge source of plastic and microplastics. And it's one of the
Yes.
places that we are coming into contact so much with plastic in terms of the microplastic being found in our
Oh,
bodies, you mentioned earlier.
yes.
So, like, really simple swaps are like, not cutting on a plastic cutting board.
Right.
Yeah, not drinking out of plastic water
Oh,
bottles,
that's huge. Huge.
yes, look through your cleaners too, like open the sink underneath, the kitchen sink and see what's under there because it's just everywhere. And I think these are the things though that are really accessible to change.
Yes. Yeah, and it's
Mhm.
tricky too because, obviously my big focus is partly plastic for sure, but also like the greener products. And I look at pretty much all of the better, more natural, more non-toxic products come in plastic.
Mhm.
Unless I come to your store, I'm guessing you must have like dish liquid and other things that I can bring a glass jar to fill or tell us what's in your store.
Yeah, yeah. So exactly on my zero waste journey, I was leaning on a lot of online subscriptions because I felt like there were not a lot of local options. Some of the co-ops did some things, others did others, but just
Right.
wasn't convenient, especially if
Yeah,
you're busy working kids, like you can't go to three different stores to get everything needed.
exactly.
So when I was coming up with this idea, I was just like, man, we just really need a one stop shop for all of our home and body essentials. So I don't do any edibles, there's no food in bulk there, but I specialize in home and body products that are all in large bulk sizes. So, yes, dish soap, Castile soap, hand
Oh,
soaps,
nice.
shampoo cleaners. Yep, cleaners.
Do you get the Vermont organic soap? Is that one of the options? Or
I
what's your
do. Yeah, some of the brands.
yeah,
I do work at the Vermont Soap Company, if that's what you're
okay. Yeah, I
referring.
guess they call
Yes.
themselves Vermont Soap as opposed to Vermont Organics. I thought they originally were named Vermont Organic Soap Company, but maybe they dropped the word organic, I don't know.
Yeah, I do think they've rebranded in the last handful of years, so it's
I think so
possible.
too.
Yes. Yes, they're wonderful. They're out of Middlebury. I buy 5-gallon Eco Cube
Oh,
of each
cool.
product.
Yes,
All of their stuff is Castile soap based, which is
yes,
like as natural as it gets.
yes.
And yeah, I have some of their spray cleaners, which I love, and yeah, body wash, Castile soap. I'm trying to think if there's a
They have
what's
one
it?
cleaner, I think, right? Liquid Sunshine, isn't it?
Yes, I love their liquid sunshine.
Yeah.
Vermont Soap Company is a big part of my bulk brand. The other large bulk selection that I have comes from a company that is not a Vermont company. They're actually out of Missouri, but
Hmm.
they're called Rustic Strength.
Ooh, I
And
haven't heard of that one. Rustic Strength.
Rustic Strength,
Interesting name. Okay.
I know.
I'll write that
And so
down.
their products are completely natural, non-toxic, non-hormone
Right.
disrupting. They don't have any of the phosphorus, phthalates, sulfates, all the
Awesome.
bad things. But also why they're so wonderful is they do a closed loop system. So they send me these huge 5-gallon eco cubes. And when
Right.
they're empty, I can just send them back. They get sanitized, refilled,
Oh,
and then
that's
sent.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
kind of what we
Yeah.
do with our maple syrup because we have a few restaurants that use the maple syrup for creamies and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so we have big 5-gallon jugs that we sell to them. And then the goal is they're supposed to clean them before they return them. So that's really cool. So, all right. So you've got cleaning products. What kind of body care stuff do you have?
Yeah, I have a lot. The body care is fun. So a lot of different like body oils and facial serums. I have
Mm.
sunscreen in bulk.
Oh, wow.
I have some
Bulk
makeup
sunscreen. No
products.
kidding.
Yes, bulk sunscreen. It's lovely. It's made in a small batch by a small business in New Hampshire. That comes in a really pretty glass big jar, or it actually can come as a stick in like a compostable tube as
Oh,
well, depending
that's
on
neat.
how yeah, apply it.
And what are the just sort of generally speaking, what are the ingredients for that sunscreen?
The active ingredient is the nano zinc oxide, and
Okay.
then it's
Think.
with coconut oil,
Oh,
white beeswax.
ooh,
I think maybe a couple different other natural oils, and that's it. It's
that
like
sounds wonderful.
4 to 5, yeah,
I
ingredients.
think it's what it looks like frosting.
Yes, it's, like, very thick and creamy, but it actually absorbs really lovely, and it doesn't leave a white cast, which I think is
Oh,
great.
nice. So you don't have to feel like you're just a white ghost walking the beach or
Yes.
well, Vermont. We don't have beaches, obviously, but the lake, the
Yeah.
river. Oh, cool. It would be really helpful, I think, for you, if you would, to talk a little bit about why this is such a big issue. Why should people be concerned?
Yeah, I think people should be concerned for a few different reasons. I mean, I think the obvious one is the state of our environment. I mean, not just how much plastic pollution there is in our waters and now our bodies, but plastic is petroleum.
Right.
It's directly comes from the fossil fuel industry. The more that we are stepping away too from fossil fuels in terms of energy consumption, like with our cars and our homes, the fossil fuel industry is actually pushing on plastic even more. So plastic
Oh, is that
clothing,
right?
yes,
Oh, I hadn't heard that. Wow, that's
yes.
not not
Kind of
particularly
now
clear.
their other avenue just to exploit the system. Well,
Oh,
yeah. So by eliminating plastic usage, and this is mostly single use. I mean, there's plastic, of course, has its role in the world, but just this disposable nature of using something one time for a few seconds and then
yeah,
throwing it away.
right,
Yeah, it's causing pollution. It's making us sick. It's making our environment sick. And it's also funding the fossil fuel industry, which, climate change and all the
right,
bad things
right,
that come with that. So,
right. And
yeah.
it got me thinking about you said you had a few different platforms for your business. You talked about the Rise Up and Refill was kind of your first levels. Can you talk a little bit about what the other levels are and what they mean?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I've played on the, traditional 3 Rs that I think, we've all been taught in school, the reduce, reuse, recycle.
Right.
And those, of course, still stand up, but I think we've all been a little bit relying too heavily on the recycle piece. I think
Mm,
recycle should be a very, very small part of the puzzle of how to, lower our waste. The first thing in why I called my business Rise Up is just that it's a collective. We all need to rise up to this challenge. Not one individual can
yeah.
make a difference by themselves, but there is evidence, very compelling evidence that, social change is really compelling and can really make a
Yes.
difference. So
Yes.
Rise Up is the first one. refuse is to politely refuse freebies, giveaways, things that are embedded in our culture of disposable convenience. Like,
Mhm.
no thank you to the promo stuff at the event. Maybe
Right,
no
because it's
thank
always usually plastic anyway.
Totally. This is a hard one. People throwing out plastic things at a parade or something. You know what I mean? Like just things that are so embedded. The more that we say no, the more people will stop producing that stuff. It's supply
Exactly.
and demand. So
Right. I wanted to just have you clarify one thing. So you mentioned that recycling is not something we should necessarily depend upon. Do you want to just expand a little bit on why that is?
more that it's just a small chain in the link, but I think
Right.
that you've just depended so heavily on it. Like we're just like,
Right.
oh, we'll buy all that stuff because we'll just recycle it. But I think the really kind of scary reality is that very little of what we put into the recycling is actually being recycled.
That is very true. I heard estimates that plastic is recycled at maybe 30%. I think
Yeah.
glass and metal were much higher, but I know for myself, if I have, and I try to avoid buying things like peanut butter in plastic or mayonnaise because I know that when there's higher fat in plastic, it tends to leach the plastic into the food more. But it's
Sure.
also impossible to get that stuff out. So when you're trying to clean
Yeah.
it, you spend so much time and effort and soap cleaning the darn
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
and then it's just puzzling too how I don't know what trash pickup you have, but our company seems to put everything in to the same back of the truck. It seems like they're not even separating, I remember recycling used to be a different day, but now it seems like it's
Yeah.
all in one, and I don't know what's going on with that. Are they sending it through some machines that sort the garbage from the plastic, metal, and glass, or do you have any idea?
I honestly don't know, but I would love to find that out. Because
Yeah,
I
I
see
would
this.
too. I think we'll have to
Yeah.
reconvene about this because I'm really curious about it. And I know that you mentioned somewhere I was reading in our email exchange, you were talking about how you would love to see the events in Waterbury in particular go more plastic free. Is that what it was?
Yeah. Yes, I can't help but be out in the world. I think I read somewhere one of a zero waste movement leaders said once you put your plastic goggles on, you can't unsee the plastic.
Oh my
And
God,
that's
that's a
kind of
good way of
how
putting
I
it.
yeah, it's like you just can't unsee it. And I do think we as Vermonters do pretty well, but I also think we could do a lot better. And, especially during summertime, there's so many amazing events, farmers markets and concerts.
Yeah.
And we just had the wonderful Arts Fest over the
Oh
weekend.
yes, I missed that. Darn it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I just I'm such a new business that I'm trying to be mindful of how much I take on, but I do
Mm.
plan to reach out, and I would love to just be an advocate for creating these events to be as low waste as possible, and I
That's
think
a
it could
great
actually
idea.
be yeah,
It could be a selling point.
exactly, like a
Yeah.
draw. Yeah, bring your own cup for the wine and beer tent, and maybe you get a little incentive
I was
or,
just gonna say,
just
I think incentives are a
yeah,
great idea because I
yes,
think even
yeah, and
places
just
like
like
Starbucks are doing that, right? They're encouraging people to bring their own cups, and I don't know if they do an incentive, but I love that idea that bringing your own stuff is getting rewarded. And actually, one of the things that's really cool here in Vermont, as you probably have seen, we no longer have the option for plastic bags at the supermarket, which I think is fantastic. We have paper,
yeah.
or most people bring their own. Or like me, sometimes if I forget mine, I stick all my stuff in the cart and then take it out to the car where my bags are in the back. I think that's a great idea about the events. All right, so your platform, let me go back to that because I want to make sure we finish that
Sure.
chain. You've got this. We've just talked about the second one, the
Yeah, so we've done Rise
re-
Up, we've done Refuse, and then the
refuse.
next
Yep.
one yep, the next one would be Reduce, which
Ah,
is a pretty straightforward one, and this is a big one, especially for Americans, like, we are consumers, and,
yep.
you know, the reducing part is so, so key. I think we're just burning through so many resources. The click of a button, we can shop so easily now.
Yeah.
And all of those little actions really add up to a lot of waste. So,
Mm.
really assessing prior to buying something or using something, do I need this? Do I really need this? Could I make this? Could I buy this secondhand for,
Yeah.
So that's a huge one is reduce. We all
Yeah.
should be reducing if possible.
Absolutely. I think Vermonters tend to do a decent job with that in some ways. I'm sure you're aware of Front Porch Forum that we have here, and I love to see people offering things for sale or for free and people looking for things so that, there's a lot more reusing. And I knew this wonderful woman, Enid Wanacott, who used to be the executive director of NOFA Vermont. And sadly, she passed
Mhm.
away a number of years ago. But one of the cool things that she did, I remember, was she had a clothing swap at her house, and everybody brought all their old clothes and she laid it out on sheets on the lawn by size.
Cool.
And so people
Yeah,
were able to go and, pick the stuff that fit them that they liked, and they gave whatever they didn't want to use anymore. And I just thought that was such a cool idea.
it is. Yes. I've hosted one clothing swap so far.
Oh,
I had
did
an
you?
Earth Day celebration. Yeah. And it's always such a hit because people are thrilled to get rid of the things that they don't wear anymore. And then it's a really feel good way to acquire new garments of clothing.
Absolutely.
Yes, I love a good clothing swap. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we've got reduce, and then are there any others?
Yeah, so it goes reduce and then repair what we already,
Mm.
have that might be broken is a big one.
Mhm.
That's something like our generations ago were really good at.
Oh gosh,
Always,
yes.
buying things that lasted, and if it broke, they repaired them. They didn't just throw it
Yes.
away. So we got refuse, we reduce, repair, and then reuse, of course, is in there as
Yes.
well. Just reusing the same things, after fixing them and taking good care of them.
Right.
Then it's recycle.
Okay.
And then we have rot is just another way to say compost.
Oh, that's clever with the R. Okay. Got it.
And then one that I added at the end, which is also a passion of mine, is rewild because
Mm.
in the last, 5 years or so, I've really shifted how I approach gardening and land management at our home.
Oh, yeah.
Just like really focusing on rewilding the spaces with native species so that, to support biodiversity, because that's a huge piece of the puzzle as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you give a few specifics of things that you've done in your garden to rewild? I love that.
Yeah, so I've taken out anything that is non-native and invasive. That's a
Oh,
really big piece
that is huge.
because when things are invasive and they take over, they're going to be strangling out these native plants that
Yeah.
can't compete. In the research that I've done, there are, all the bugs and the birds and the animals have evolved with certain plants over
Yes.
hundreds and thousands of years. So if they don't have the plants to lay their eggs on and to raise their young, it just really pulls at the web of diversity.
Mm.
So the number one thing to really think about is to try to eliminate invasive species because those are going to just
Yep.
pose the most problems.
Which ones are the ones that you've gotten rid of most often?
Yeah, I feel like I'll be doing it for the rest of my life.
Right, exactly. That's why I was curious
um,
because there's so many that are just really hard to get rid of, but so I'm
I know
curious.
it's so hard. Yeah, so for my house in particular, garlic mustard has been stubborn,
Oh. Okay.
and wild
Oh,
chervil, I
yeah, yeah,
believe.
yeah. It looks like
That
Queen Anne's lace, right?
Yes,
Yeah, that seemed
that
like it
that
popped up everywhere this summer.
yes. Luckily, those 2 are on the easier side of removal because they're biennials, and so if you can get to them before they go to seed, you can
Oh,
actually, control the population.
that's awesome.
But I've also found what is it? It's the bush honeysuckle that's a real problem on my property
Okay.
that really takes over. But I know a lot of
Yep.
people struggle with the knotweed is huge.
Right.
Luckily, our property, knock on wood, we don't have that yet. But
Yeah, it
yeah.
we had some show up on ours, and I don't even know how it got here because we didn't bring any gravel in that I'm aware of to certain spots where it showed up. Although except for
Right.
every time they bring any load of gravel to, resurface the road, potentially it has the
Mhm.
seeds in it. The only thing that I can say that I like about the Japanese knotweed is that it's
Mhm.
a good food for bees at the end of the season, and it
Okay.
supposedly helps with treating Lyme disease.
Yes, I have
It's kind
heard
of
that.
interesting. There's a
Yeah.
woman in the valley here that makes a tincture of Japanese knotweed to help people with Lyme because, Lyme is so prevalent. Why would you say you're so passionate about this?
I think I'm very passionate about it because it's such a everyday, tangible thing that we all have control over, because I think the
Mm,
problems in the world feel so big, and you can just feel so overwhelmed with how to make this a better place for our children and for ourselves.
yep.
And, these little steps of reusing and refilling and choosing to support small businesses that care are, again, individually it's small, but it feels really good.
Yeah.
Collectively, it actually does support some meaningful change.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to start my store, and I love to talk to people about it because, I think we're all reaching for something that we can do that feels like it's going to have a positive impact.
Agreed. And are you finding that people are receptive, like even with the mothers group that you have been meeting with for play dates and stuff? Did you feel like those women were willing to take steps?
Yeah, yeah, it's something I think everybody can relate to in a way
Yeah.
and see. I mean, I think everyone's aware of it to certain degrees.
Sure.
Uh, my mom friends all still participate in it to some degree. And yeah, I've been very impressed with the Waterbury and Vermont community as a whole with how
Nice.
much they've already been trying to do to reduce their single use plastic. So
That's
I
awesome.
feel like my store has just been a great resource for them to be like, oh, I don't have to buy this online anymore. I can do this locally, which they love. So yes,
Yeah.
it has given me hope to see that so many people are aware of the problem and have already been trying to tackle it in their own way.
That's so cool. And how many months have
Yeah.
you been open?
I opened March 1st. So
Oh, wow.
4 months, 4.5 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just 4 months. That's amazing. And how has it been for you so far?
It's been good. Such a learning curve. I've never done retail.
And that's incredibly brave of you to do something like that. I'm very
Thank you.
impressed. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the mission and the concept that really drove it, and it did actually come together pretty fluidly. Didn't have too many roadblocks. More just like the crunching of the numbers was the hardest part in the beginning of just like, oh my god, inventory and figuring out how to resell things and the whole
Yeah.
just setup of retail. But no,
Sure.
I think it's got well. I think right now it's just all about getting the word out so that more
Yeah.
people know that I'm there.
Well, I will certainly be
And
doing that with this podcast. What's the store's address?
it is 1 Elm Street, Suite
Okay.
2, downtown Waterbury. I'm right across from Pro Pig Brewery, the little brewery that's
Oh.
behind the restaurant.
So on that side street, which is Elm Street.
Yep. Yeah,
Oh,
and
cool.
I'm right next door to the Beer Collective, which is the big brick building right there.
Oh, nice, nice. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Why do you think people should care about this topic?
Well, I think we're in a very contentious time of our history right now.
Right.
And I think that we all are hopefully waking up to that what has been happening is not working anymore. And I'm kind of referring to like the convenience buying and supporting huge corporations. I think this is an opportunity for us all to really reevaluate our lives and how we go about it. And like slowing down is so crucial for us, and taking the time to think about like what we're putting into our bodies and our homes. And the refilling is a little bit of a process. It's not something you want to rush through, but I think that's kind of the beauty of it too, is like
Yeah.
coming in and slowing down and refilling and really knowing the products that you're buying, and just that you can make a really big impact by doing
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So if somebody comes into your store for the first time and they don't have containers with them, do you sell them containers as well?
Yeah. So there's a few different ways of going about it. You can bring your own containers from home. I have containers around the store for purchase that are all
Okay.
made of glass or stainless steel.
Nice.
And then I also have a container library, is what I call it, under my way station, which is
Oh, neat.
free secondhand donated containers.
Oh, very
They're
cool.
all clean. They just might have labeled from other products from
Oh,
previous
that's really
lives.
neat. I love that.
And
Very
yeah,
good.
and that piece has been very popular. People utilize the container library all the time. So
I love that little container library. That's a great name.
yeah,
Um,
I call it that because people will also drop containers off to donate to them. So
oh,
take a
neat.
lot,
So
take a jar and
it
leave a jar.
that's awesome. So it's very much akin to those cute little library boxes that people have installed on different roads in Vermont, those like little wooden boxes with
Yes.
a glass door and then take a book, leave a book. I love that kind of idea.
Yeah.
Jamie, what gives you hope to keep going?
Ooh. Well, like I said earlier, when I started this business, it was shortly after the election. So I was feeling like, oh my God, this is a crazy time to start a business. And with the tariffs, all of
Oh
it,
God. Yeah.
blinded. Yeah. Like I was like, this is either the best time for this business or like the worst time. Luckily, it's proven to be a really good time
Oh, good.
because people are mad. And like I said, they want to take action.
Yeah.
And I have been continuously impressed with the people that I'm meeting and how eager to learn they are and wanting to reduce they are, or they like to tell me about all the different ways they've already been doing that. Even though Vermont is such a small little pocket of the world, it's been very life-giving knowing that our community is so caring and they're
Mhm.
so knowledgeable and they want to help.
Yeah.
So I think we just gotta
That's
spread that.
awesome. Do you have a newsletter or anything that people could sign up for to stay in touch with you if they don't live around here?
Yes, if you go to my website, I do have a little, sign up that you can become a contact, and I send out newsletters every so often.
Oh, nice.
I'm also on Instagram at Rise Up Refill, and I do updates about different products or events
Oh,
there.
cool.
Those are the two primary ways to be in touch with me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And the website address is just
RiseVT.com. Yes.
riseupvt.com. Cool. One of the things that keeps me hopeful and continuing to go forward, because this has been about 30 some odd years of focusing on green living. For me,
Yeah.
it became very powerful, poignant when I was pregnant many years ago. That's when I had my big aha moment. I had had kind of an unusual childhood and worked in health food stores, yada, yada, yada. But for me, finding this non-toxic baby book in the health food store one day was what totally opened my eyes to, wait, toxic chemicals in baby shampoo and everyday products? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Right.
But I was thinking, I have this cool, when my daughter was little, I found this amazing coloring book in a natural food store, and it had sort of like a vision for the future. Oops. And your store would have fit
Yeah.
perfectly in here. In fact, there was, I believe, a store that was like a reuse store. But that kind
Oh,
of stuff,
cool.
I have probably 12 of these pages that I've laminated with plastic
Mhm.
as I'm thinking about it. But the vision of that is what keeps me going. The idea that we can create something better and that,
Mhm.
people like you that are taking this initiative and opening a store, even with little kids, I mean, that's remarkable. And I think that's so awesome. And the conversations that you're having with people is so cool. And the fact that somebody came into your store, came into our farm stand, and that's how I found out about you. I love that,
Yeah.
kind of word of mouth piece too.
So far, like you mentioned, word of mouth has been really amazing, and Front
Yeah.
Porch Forum, they're just like gold
Oh,
for the community and getting information out.
anything I didn't ask you that I should have?
Well, I was just going to mention July is considered plastic free July, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
yeah, it was started in Australia 8 to 10 years ago, but it's become this global movement and challenge. And it's just a fun and hopefully effective way for people to really look at their lifestyle and choose one thing that they're like, okay, I could really let go of using to go coffee cups every single day. And I'm going to try
Yeah.
to, for the month of July, integrate a travel mug or whatever it might be. It could be, bringing your own Tupperware to out to dinner so you can put your leftovers in that, or not using a
And
plastic
ideally, it's
straw.
the glass kind as opposed to the plastic Tupperware.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Thankfully, we have that
You know,
option. Yeah.
yes, yes. So you can go as big or as small of a step as you want.
Yeah.
Just the idea is that you try to commit to it for, the remaining of the month. And it's a way to just kind of get your feet wet with being like, maybe I could actually make this a more permanent change. So I would
Oh,
just
nice.
urge the listeners of this podcast and anybody to take a pledge and see how it goes and try to reduce a single-use plastic item in your life.
Absolutely. And if they have a group of people they can do this with, maybe as a challenge or something that might help inspire other people and also, keep them on track. I think, doing things in groups can be very powerful.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I love that idea.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This was a fascinating conversation. I'm hoping people will find it inspiring that they will at least take one step, take one thing that they've heard here today and implement that and see how that feels.
Yeah,
So
that's the
thank
way to
you.
do it. Then you're
Yeah,
not overwhelmed, and then it actually
exactly.
becomes really rewarding. So, yeah, thank you
Agreed.
so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for tuning in to the Green Living Now podcast. If you are feeling inspired to take steps towards a cleaner, healthier, more sustainable lifestyle, don't miss my free guide, 5 steps to ditch everyday toxins without overwhelm. Inside, you'll get simple, practical swaps to clean up your food, home, and habits without falling down a research rabbit hole or second guessing every label. Just head over to greenlivingnow.com or click on the link in the show notes, and you can get instant access. If this episode gave you a new insight or fresh perspective, please hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to detox their life and feel better naturally. Until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, and stay green.